Alright, so what did you guys do for your lessons?
Did you want me to go first?
Doesn't matter, whoever.
Okay. I'll go ahead and go first. I did one on zoo animals and their habitats, and it was kind of like a 3-day thing for me, the 27th through the 29th, because some students were absent, so I had to use a day to catch students up on the 28th. But what I wanted to do was what I did do was have each student research a zoo animal from the given handouts that I had gotten from the San Diego Zoo. And after they researched their animal and whatnot, they drew pictures of their animals and their habitats using a program called, I don't know if you guys have heard of it before, but it's called KidPix.
Yeah, I like KidPix.
Okay, so that's what they use to draw their animals. And then what we did was we recorded voices using VoiceThread. I wanted them to just pretty much on the VoiceThread tell what they thought was important, why they chose the animal, and how they enjoyed drawing their pictures and whatnot. And I noticed that while I was doing that, it took a lot of time for students to record their voices. I work with learners that have severe disabilities, so I also take that into consideration. But it just took a lot of time to record voices. More students wanted to draw rather than to record.
Did you have them write their recording before and just read it, or?
I did.
Okay.
I did, but a lot of people still weren't interested in that. They wanted to draw pictures through KidPix, and they wanted to draw their other classmates' pictures. I'm like, no, you have to focus on your stuff.
Sounds like kindergartners.
It's first grade.
Oh, you were in first grade?
First, second, and third.
Okay.
And yeah, they wanted to focus on their other classmates' responsibilities and whatnot. So that's one thing that I noticed. And then some students didn't want to focus. And as I said, some students that wanted to record, they weren't there, so I had to catch them up on the 28th. So I took 45 minutes to do that, and then I had to stop because I couldn't take any more time. I was already under pressure because I knew we had to complete this assignment, and I knew we were going to meet on the 7th. So I was kind of under pressure because there was things I had to get done, and then students not wanting to cooperate. And then on the 29th, I wanted to incorporate something like a classroom wiki, a blog where students could write, but I wasn't able to do that because people have pull-out services. There was 2 students that were eager and wanted to do that, but some students kept asking to use the restroom. I didn't have enough assistive technology devices for children to type on the computers. So that's the only thing that didn't go as planned, was creating the classroom wiki and having the students, talk about their animals and write it and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did.
That sounds cool. Is there anything that you would change or modify for next time if you did it again?
I just wish I could have had more assistance. I didn't have any aides or anybody to help me in working with 10 students. It can be kind of tough at times, So, I just wish I could have had more help. And then next time, I'm not going to stress so much. Sometimes I put myself under too much pressure, like, Saria, you got to get this done. You got to get this done. You got to do it right. And instead of, just breathing and trying to do it step by step and going slowly, I always put more pressure on myself. So I think next time I'm just going to take it slow and know that all students aren't going to want to participate, and that's fine, but I can continue to help them, but just take my time and breathe.
Yeah, it's hard when they're recording one-on-one and you
Right.
have to be with the student recording, and then especially when they're little, it's like they don't know how to be independent at all yet.
Exactly. So you have to be there step by step and to do it with each and every student, and you want to give each student the same treatment as you did the first student, but each student has a different disability, so you have to approach it differently. So, yeah.
Kona! Hey! Sorry.
Wow. Yeah, that assignment did sound very cool, and I would say that I too struggled with maybe stressing a little bit first period.
Uh-huh.
As I was implementing it. I was like, okay, now we're going to do this. And there's just so much uncertainty. But after first period and my students' reactions, I was actually energized. I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it really kind of evolved. I chose to do Socrative and to create a little warm-up quiz. My lesson was, final exam. I wanted to do our study guide and review. And so I did a warm-up quiz to kind of, pre-test before we do the study guide and review to see where they're at and also to let them see where they are at. So I had selected the, you can get immediate feedback box on the quiz. So as the students were taking the quiz through Socrative, immediately they knew whether they got the question right or wrong. And they enjoyed that. So we did the little warm up and then I gave them their tangible, handout of the study guide as well as made it available on Google Docs through our learning management system, Haiku. And as I was navigating them through Haiku and showing them that there, I said, okay, now you guys have this extra assignment called Padlet. And on Padlet, I want you to post a review question and answer from the study guide. But the problem is you cannot post a question and answer that any of your other classmates have posted. And so they started doing it, and next thing you know, I had a student that threw a picture up, and I was like, wait, how did you get a picture on there? And I'm like, all right, extra credit to the next 5 people that can figure out, because it looks cool. They can figure out how to get one with a photo on there that is related to the content. So you wanted a photograph of, a tool or a procedure or something of that nature. So it was really exciting. The kids went crazy. I have one for each class period, and they were good.
Sorry, hold on one second.
On the tablet.
That's really good that they were energized.
Pardon me?
I said that's really good that they were energized and they wanted to participate and learn.
Yeah, it was really awesome because just the energy. They're like, oh, this thing is cool. It's like they were tagging on the wall. The high school kids just thought, that's neat. And then after working on the Padlet, they were like, well, how long is this going to be here? I said, well, it's going to be here all week as you work through your written study guide and as you study. And so I made it available, up until the morning of the final exam, so that they could then collaboratively look for the answers and work together to find the answers through Padlet, going through all the stuff, basically building a class study guide.
That's cool.
So I saw kids the morning of on their Chromebooks, looking it over rather than bringing in their notebooks. So some chose to study that way. And then I loved Socrative so much. I thought it was the most awesome thing ever because it scores it immediately for you. It reports it in a spreadsheet. You can download it or you can have it sent to you via email. And I was like, do you guys like this? Because I love this. And I asked my students, how do you guys feel about your final exam in Socrative? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, so done. So we took our final using Socrative as well. And I tweeted about it the other day. And I was like, I'm in love. I'm never going back.
Oh, that's good.
So in Socrative, you pre-created tests and then the kids could go through it at their own pace?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's you can select student. Have you used it before?
I used it for my lesson, but I did one. It was like I would ask the question and then the kids would put their answer. Like we did it all whole class, because it wasn't like anything that I was grading. It just was kind of a check for understanding piece of it. So.
Yeah. Well, we did ours as a whole class as well. And for me, I was doing it as graded assignment, and I really wanted them to only one person to put a question and answer. I didn't want any duplicates. Mm-hmm. And so I discovered that with Padlet, you can you can click on their name and it'll expand and it'll tell you the date and time that they put their post up. So you guys did it that way for Padlet, or were you talking about Socrative?
I was talking about Socrative. And then Padlet, we did similar to that too.